Story 1. Natto Asa had always cherished the taste of natto, a fermented dish sold by a small shop in her neighborhood since she was a child. The flavor was unlike any other, so rich and strangely addictive that once tasted, it was nearly impossible to stop eating. But now, the shop was in danger. Managed solely by the aging widow of the original owner, business had sharply declined after her husband's death. Asa feared the day the shop would close forever. One evening, after finishing her last portion at home, Asa hurried back to buy more. She greeted the old woman warmly, relieved to see a few customers coming and going. The woman smiled and offered Asa an extra serving as thanks for her loyalty. As Asa tasted the fresh natto, she commented on how the flavor had grown even stronger in recent months. The woman leaned closer, her voice dropping into a conspiratorial whisper. "That's because I changed the fermentation process. I studied deeply into natto's history until I discovered a new way to make it." Asa blinked, her smile faltering. The woman confessed she had been fermenting the beans together with human flesh. Continues in part 2. Asa froze in disbelief. Her chest tightened as sweat dampened her palms. She forced a nervous laugh, insisting it was just a cruel joke. The old woman grinned thinly and shook her head. "I am not lying," she said, her eyes gleaming. "The meat ferments with the beans and the taste becomes irresistible. That is why my customers always return." Horrified, Asa staggered back, muttering for the woman not to scare her like that. With a gentle chuckle, the woman apologized, saying it had been foolish of her to say something so strange. She handed Asa several more packs as an apology, insisting it was simply handmade food. Mistakes could happen. That night, Asa sat alone with her meal, her chopsticks trembling. She hesitated, remembering the grotesque story. But hunger and doubt collided within her, and she finally took a bite. Then her teeth struck something hard. She pulled it from her mouth. It was a fingernail. Continues in part 1. Her stomach churned violently. Asa rushed back to the shop, slamming the nail onto the counter, her voice cracking with panic. The old woman bowed her head and sighed, apologizing profusely. "It must have been my own," she said calmly. She peeled off her gloves, showing raw, worn hands. "Everything is done by hand. Sometimes things slip through." She replaced Asa's packs with fresh ones, her expression kind and reassuring. Asa, flustered and embarrassed for doubting her, accepted and left with relief. But once alone, the widow turned her gaze to a framed photograph of her deceased husband. Whispering to the portrait, she said softly, "Don't worry. I will never let your legacy die. The shop will always live on." His flesh quietly fueling the special flavor that kept customers coming back for more. Story 2. Letters. Kokoro sat quietly, staring at the photographs of his mother. With trembling hands, he wrote her a letter, asking what had happened to her, confessing how unbearably lonely he felt without her. Slipping the envelope into the family photo album, he hid it away. His father, who had once confiscated the album, had warned him never to dwell on such things. That night, curiosity pulled him back. When he opened the album again, his heart skipped. Inside was an answer, a letter written back to him. His mother apologized for not being able to live with them as a family, but promised she would speak to him soon, that she had much to share. Shaking with disbelief, Kokoro rushed to his father with the letter. But instead of joy, his father's face twisted in anger. He snatched the paper and tore it to shreds as Kokoro cried out desperately, begging to know where his mother was. Continues in part 2. Time passed, but Kokoro could not let go. He kept writing letters, slipping them into the album, and to his amazement, replies always appeared. His mother's words comforted him, filling the void his father never could. He wrote of his feelings, his fears, his hopes, and always received encouragement in return. But as he grew older, suspicion gnawed at him. Slowly, painfully, he realized the truth. The one writing those letters was not his mother. It was his father. Years later, Kokoro anxiously awaited the results of his university entrance exams. It was his one chance, as the family had little money. When the notice arrived, the result crushed him. He had failed. His father asked what was wrong, and when Kokoro told him, the man's response was cold. "You were never capable. Find a job. Start helping with expenses." Rage boiled inside him. He knew why he had failed. His home life left no time to study. He'd been too busy carrying the weight of the household chaos. Continues in part 03. He hurled his belongings in frustration, then froze when he noticed the album lying nearby. Hands shaking, he opened it. Inside was another letter. His mother wrote that she believed in him, that he could achieve anything if he persevered. She ended with a gentle promise. Things would get better. Tears streamed down his face as he whispered, "This isn't fair." Years slipped by. His relationship with his father remained cold and bitter. Yet the letters never stopped. Finally, as his father lay dying, the old man confessed, "I put you through much you didn't deserve, but I could never write to you from the world of the dead." Kokoro, voice trembling, replied, "I've known for a long time that it was you." His father exhaled his final breath. After the funeral, Kokoro found a note among his father's belongings. It was an apology, a thank you. Kokoro wept bitterly, asking why his father had never spoken those words face to face. But then he found more. Letters he had never seen before. Letters from his real mother. In one, she revealed a truth she had once been forbidden to tell. She had not died naturally. She had been murdered by his father. Story 3. Zashiki-Warashi. Takarada had just been promoted at the hotel where she worked. It should have been a moment of pride, but it was shadowed by unease. The previous leader of the staff had recently died, and the cause was still under investigation. The owner of the hotel summoned her and, in a hushed voice, revealed the weight of her new duty. She led Takarada through forbidden corridors, unlocking a door no other worker had ever entered. Inside, a dim chamber awaited. "What you are about to see," the owner whispered, "is a secret you must guard with your life. If you fail, your head will pay the price." At the center of the room stood an altar, and on it sat a doll. But not just any doll. It was a Zashiki-Warashi, a spirit believed to bring prosperity, yet feared for its dark demands. The ritual was clear. Knock and announce yourself, bow for permission, close the door, place shoes in opposite directions, and replace the offerings daily. Continues in part 02. Takarada bowed, swearing to follow every step. That night, she entered the chamber for her first ritual. But she faltered. When removing her shoes, she left them both pointing toward the door instead of opposite directions. Kneeling before the altar, she whispered with trembling lips, "Zashiki-Warashi, return to my family." A faint rustle stirred the silence. Slowly, the doll stepped down, its tiny feet sliding into her shoes. With a childlike gait, it walked past her into the dark hall. Takarada's lips curved into a smile, not of fear, but triumph. Elsewhere, the hotel owner caught sight of what looked like a child wandering the corridor. Alarmed, she followed, only to freeze when she realized it was the doll. Before she could scream, her head was severed in a single strike. Continues in part 03. Takarada emerged, calm and steady, watching the lifeless body collapse. She had expected this moment. Leaning close, she whispered, "At last, justice." Long ago, her family had possessed this very spirit, passed through generations. But the woman now dead had stolen it, ripping away her inheritance. When her mother freed the doll years ago, it claimed her life in return. Now, Takarada had reclaimed it, avenging her mother in one calculated stroke. The Zashiki-Warashi was hers once more, its tiny footsteps echoing beside her, binding her family's fate to its curse again. And so ends our journey through the shadows of these chilling manga tales. Tell us in the comments which horror manga you want to see here next. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss the darkness to come. You're watching Dark Stories, Dark Manga Tales.